It is 2:47 in the morning. Everyone else is asleep. But somewhere right now, someone is lying awake replaying a single moment. A glance, a laugh, a pause that lasted just a second too long, and wondering what it meant. Has someone ever looked at you just a fraction of a second longer than usual, and something inside you quietly said, wait? Not loud, not dramatic, just a small, invisible shift that your brain registered before your conscious mind even caught up. That feeling was completely real. And today we are going to explain exactly why. Here is something most people never think about. Human attraction is almost entirely nonverbal. The vast majority of what we communicate about how we feel is never actually said out loud. Your brain is broadcasting emotional signals constantly, completely below conscious thought. And once you know what to look for, you will never miss them again. Welcome to Cognitive Reality. I am going to walk you through 7 specific, scientifically documented things the brain does when it is attracted to someone, not generic advice. The actual biology, the actual neuroscience, things your brain does without asking your permission, and things you can learn to recognize. By the end of this video, you are going to understand eye contact, mirroring, the need to touch, memory, nervousness, laughter, and proximity, through the lens of what your brain is actually doing. Let's get into it. Sign number 1. Extended eye contact and pupil dilation. And I want to start with something almost nobody talks about. The baseline. The average comfortable glance between two strangers lasts about 3 seconds. 3 seconds is the socially calibrated default. The amount that says, I see you, I'm not a threat, we're fine. But when the brain detects someone it finds attractive, the glances get longer. The eyes return more frequently. And there is one thing that you absolutely cannot fake, even if you tried. The pupils physically dilate. Pupil dilation during attraction is one of the most well-documented involuntary responses in psychology. When the brain perceives someone as attractive, the sympathetic nervous system activates, the same system that handles excitement, and the pupils expand to literally take in more of what they are seeing. Your brain saying, through your own biology, I want more of this. And because the autonomic nervous system controls it, you cannot stop it. It just happened. So what does this look like in real life? It is not dramatic. It is the glance that lasts just a beat longer than it needed to. It is the eyes that find yours again across a room. It is eye contact that does not break the moment it is made, but holds just briefly. If you notice this consistently from one specific person, that is not nothing. That is biology. Sign number 2, mirroring. And this one is subtle enough that most people never consciously notice it happening, which is exactly what makes it one of the most honest signals on this entire list. When someone is genuinely attracted to another person, their brain unconsciously synchronizes their body language with that person's. They cross their legs at the same time. They lean forward when you lean forward. They reach for their drink right after you reach for yours. Psychologists call this behavioral synchrony, and it is driven by mirror neurons, a system in the brain built specifically for social bonding. The brain is literally trying to get in sync with the person it is drawn to. Mirror neurons activate both when you perform an action and when you simply observe someone else doing it, creating an internal echo of the other person's experience inside your own brain. When attraction is present, this system goes into overdrive. And the important thing to remember, mirroring is not a technique people consciously use. It is the nervous system expressing genuine interest. You cannot perform it convincingly if the feeling is not real. Sign number 3, finding reasons to touch. And before you think this is obvious, we are not talking about dramatic gestures. We are talking about the small ones. The brief touch on the arm during a funny moment. Moving something near you that did not really need to be moved. A hand on the shoulder that lasts just half a second longer than necessary. Oxytocin does 3 specific things when released by touch. It reduces the brain's threat response, making you feel safer around that person. It increases feelings of emotional closeness, and it creates a positive association with the person who triggered it. So your brain starts to genuinely want more time with them. 1 small touch. 3 neurological changes. That is how powerful this signal is. Sign number 4. Remembering small details about you. And this one hits differently when you understand the cognitive psychology behind it, because it is not about having a good memory. It is about which memories the brain decides are worth keeping. When someone is attracted to another person, their brain starts tagging information about that person as emotionally significant, which means it is far more likely to be encoded into long-term memory. So when someone remembers that you mentioned 3 weeks ago that you prefer oat milk, that is not a coincidence. That is attraction doing its job in the most honest, quiet way possible. The neuroscience behind this is precise. The amygdala, your brain's emotional center, works directly with the hippocampus, your memory storage system, to flag emotionally relevant information for deeper encoding. When you mean something to someone, their amygdala is literally tagging everything about you as worth remembering. If someone consistently brings up things you said, things you barely remember saying, their brain has been listening far more carefully than you realize. Sign number 5. Nervous behavior around you specifically. And this one trips people up the most, because we are trained to read nervousness as discomfort, as wanting to leave, as not liking us, but the neuroscience tells a completely different story. There is a psychological theory called arousal misattribution, and it states that the physical experience of anxiety and the physical experience of attraction share almost identical physiological signatures: increased heart rate, heightened awareness, slight perspiration. Your brain, in certain situations, genuinely struggles to tell the difference between the two. In real life, this looks like fidgeting with something when you walk in, being slightly more careful with words than usual. A small stumble in conversation that would not happen with anyone else. If someone is visibly different, more alert, more self-conscious, more careful, specifically around you and not like that with other people, your presence is affecting their nervous system. That is worth paying attention to. This was first demonstrated in the now famous suspension bridge experiment. Participants who met someone on a high, wobbly bridge, in a state of physical arousal from the height, rated that person as significantly more attractive than participants who met the same person on a low, stable bridge. The physical arousal of fear was being partially interpreted as attraction. The body cannot always distinguish between the two feelings. Sign number 6. They laugh significantly more than usual around you. Not politely. Not socially obligated laughing. I mean genuine laughter, where things you say are funnier to them than they objectively are. And this is not about your comedy skills. It is entirely about what their brain is doing. Laughter is one of the brain's primary social bonding mechanisms. Evolutionary psychologists believe shared laughter evolved as a signal of alignment, of being on the same frequency as another person. When someone is attracted to you, their brain is actively looking for opportunities to create that shared moment. Their laugh threshold quite literally lowers when you are the one speaking. Neuroscientist Robert Provine, who spent years studying laughter, found that we are 30 times more likely to laugh in a social setting than alone. And that laughter is fundamentally about signaling connection, not about humor. He also found that in mixed-gender conversations, women laugh significantly more in the presence of men they find attractive. The quantity changes. But more importantly, the quality changes. It becomes warmer, more sustained, more connected to eye contact. Sign number 7. And this one is perhaps the most powerful because it is the most unconscious of all 7. They close the physical distance between you, not dramatically, not obviously, just consistently, quietly, without realizing it. They end up nearer to you than they need to be. Cultural anthropologist Edward Hall mapped what he called proxemics, the psychology of personal space. He found that humans maintain specific invisible spatial boundaries depending on their relationship. Strangers stay at social distance, roughly 4 to 12 feet. Friends exist at personal distance, 1.5 to 4 feet. And intimate distance, within 18 inches, is reserved almost exclusively for people we are deeply comfortable with or genuinely attracted to. What does this look like in practice? It is choosing the seat next to you when any other seat was available. Standing in your part of the room at a party without visible reason. Leaning toward you during a conversation even when there is no noise competing. Feet pointed in your direction even when talking to someone else. None of this is planned. Their nervous system is pulling them toward you, and the body follows. There is one specific proxemic signal that body language researchers consider especially telling: the direction of the feet. Unlike eye contact or facial expression, which we consciously manage, we almost never think about where our feet are pointing. And research shows that feet tend to point toward the person we are most interested in or attracted to, even when we are engaged in conversation with someone else entirely. Watch for it. You will start seeing it everywhere. Now here's the most important thing I want to leave you with. None of these signs in isolation is definitive. One extended glance means nothing on its own. One nervous laugh proves nothing alone. What matters is the pattern. When you see 3, 4, 5 of these signals consistently from the same person directed at you, over time, you are not imagining it. These are not dating tips. They are neurological events. Real, documented, involuntary processes happening inside a real human brain. Pupil dilation, mirror neurons, oxytocin release, selective memory encoding, arousal physiology, social bonding laughter, proxemic behavior. Every single one of these is backed by decades of peer-reviewed research. You are not reading too much into it. You are reading the biology correctly. Your brain has been picking up on these signals your entire life before you had the language for them. That feeling of something is different here was never random. It was your brain running pattern recognition on biological data it was designed to read. Now you just know what it has been saying all along. If this video gave you one new way of seeing what is happening around you, share it with someone who would want to know. There is someone in your life right now who has been misreading the signals completely. Send it to them. Drop a comment below. I genuinely read every single one. And tell me, which of the 7 signs surprised you the most? And which one did you immediately think of someone specific when you heard it? You know who I mean. Subscribe to Cognitive Reality for a new psychology video every week. And remember, your brain has been reading people all your life. Now you just know what it has been saying. I'll see you in the next one.